Hi UVians, and welcome to another video. I'm the Lone Gamer, and this video will be about Conquest. I'm the Lone Gamer, and this video will be about Conquest, the 40k Games Workshop 40k modeling and painting magazine. I have here the first issue. Mine was a little bit damaged when it first came. I was very disappointed, but into the brakes. Okay, so getting right into it. This is not an unboxing, so I'm just going to dive straight into it. Let's get in here, pull all this out. Okay, what have we got? We have a Baden Black. We have a Retribution Armor and a McCrag Blue. Got our sprue, our bases, and our paintbrush. Everything that you need to start. Let's get rid of that. Oh, and look. They want us to pick it up from our news agency. No. Subscribe. I already have. But I'm sure that if this came out as something from a news agency, then you would want to be able to subscribe to it. Okay. So, I've gotten the premium kit, and I'll show you all of that in a later episode. These pieces here, is this, the glue, and the side cutters, which have come as part of the first installment, I guess. They sort of come as a group of 4 magazines for the month. When mine first came, my first issue was on back order, so I had to wait a little bit before I got the first issue. Also, the side cutters were on back order, so I had to wait a little bit for that as well. But this is a little ways after starting to receive it. I've been working up the courage to get on here and start doing a tutorial. More propaganda, just in case you missed it the first time. Okay, and even more. Okay, this was meant to be a poster, but as I said, mine came damaged, so it's all damaged there. I'll try and get it laminated and get a photo of it, but I'm not very hopeful that that's going to happen. But here is the first issue, and I'll just slowly flick through it just so you can see. Not enough to pause the video and read it, because I would assume that Games Workshop would frown on that. Now, I'm in no way affiliated with Games Workshop. I've had to fork out the money each month for this. It's costing me just shy of $100 Australian to have this and the premium. And although I've received the stuff from the premium, I'm not sure that they've actually stopped charging me for a premium. Maybe they plan on having more premium stuff come up later on, and if you continue to pay for the premium, then you'll get it. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that. I'll get back to you in a later video. Alright, so this is set up so that it comes apart. And so you have, it's all color-coded. There's a bit about Space Marines, the battles, it's all Space Marines. That comes out and goes into a folder in that sort of part, like that. Then there'll be a divider, and you'll have this modeling section on how to build. And then you have the painting section and a tutorial and playing section. And that'll all go together in folders, which I detailed here somewhere. There we go. My folders, which they send out to you periodically with these dividers already in them. And so I'll be building up the folder and hopefully show you a better example of that once I've gone through a few of these videos and have a few things in the folder. Okay, so I'll set that off to the side and let's have a look at these intercessors. Okay. Hopefully my video is focusing on that so that you can see them. All right. And the paintbrush, it's a starter brush. It has a reasonably fine tip on it. We'll get to that when we get to the painting, but let's have a look at the paints as well. Okay. So let's have at these with our side cutters. So you grab your side cutters and the blade on these is on one side, hence its name. I don't know what they call it in the hobby. They probably have a specific name for them. Modeling clippers is what it says over there. But they're side cutters and they cut on one side. So you want that side to get as close to where you want where the edge of the model is. So I don't know whether that's blurry or not. But let's just get in there. And they're pretty sharp. They're pretty good, these clippers. Although they're not the same as the ones that are sold by Games Workshop, and I'll insert a picture of the ones that are actually sold by Games Workshop so you can see the complete difference of this and the mold line tool. I don't know whether I'm supposed to make my own handle for this or whether it was meant to come with a handle. The picture doesn't say that it came with a handle. The picture looks more like it's sandpaper. It looks like a small file. Okay, but we'll get to that in a second as well. At the moment, let's get all of these intercessors out of the sprue. I may even speed this up on the video, but for the time being, and the fact that I can't speed up real life, I'm going to go through and do each of these individually. And there's one body. Have they been labelled? They've got numbers on them. Let's have a look at the guide. Do they refer to the numbers? They do. Okay. So let's do it like that. I have just cut out 8. So if you have a look at this guide, they've actually numbered everything. So 8 is this guy in the middle. So I'll set him aside and I'll put all of his other things near it. So 9, 7 is his head. There's his head just there. And 9 is his backpack. 9. Oh, sorry, his back, not his backpack. It didn't have that nice crunchy snap to it, but it has gone through. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. There's his back. 12 is his backpack. Now it's his backpack. Now getting in here is kind of difficult, but you can get right to the end of these. It doesn't give you that nice snapping sound, but it is going through. You just don't want to cut off any of the other details on here. You can go a little bit further back, but it just makes it a little bit harder when it comes to the cleaning up part. When you're going to actually be cleaning up all of the little bits left over. What do we have next? 11 is one of his arms. So let's go back over to 11. I've got a fair bit of detail on them. For a snap together, well, it's not really a snap together, but it is effectively a snap together model. I don't know whether Games Workshop has actually changed to this style or whether it's just a beginner style. Let's have a look at that. Yep, that little plug has to stay on there. So we want to cut it there. Okay, so there's one of his arms. And his other arm is numbered 10. 10. There we go. There we go. Let's keep the front on there. We don't want to take that off. Okay. Sorry about that. I had to blow my nose, and I figured that you wouldn't want to have that going in your ear. Okay, and let's get him a base and just put it there. So that's pretty much all of one. So here's the one in the middle. Let's have a look at the one at one end. This one. 2. There's a 2. His body. 14. 2. So it's this one with the helmet on the side. Let's get in from this side. I'll start speeding this up because we really don't need to see how I do all of these. Get him a base. So here's the first, here's the second. And I believe each of these fellows have a name. Yeah, there it is at the bottom there. I don't know whether you can see it on the video. And the last guy is just all the parts that are left, so let's just quickly snap him out. So, as I said, we're trying to get as close to the model as possible so that we don't have to clean up as much when it comes to the cleanup part of this whole exercise. If you have to go further away, then you have to go further away. I mean, I guess the outcome is to not cut off any part of the model. That would be the ideal outcome. You do not wish to do that. Just poking the little ends of it in there. Trying to get as close as I can without cutting the model. So if I can't get close enough, then I will have to clean it up later. You'd be better off erring on the side of caution, as cutting a part off is harder to put back on than just taking a little bit more off when it comes to the cleanup. If it looks like I've done this part before, I have. I've done a little bit of painting as well before, but I'm hoping to learn the techniques that they use. So there's the end of the sprue. Some people keep it, some people throw it away. Really depends on what you're going to do. I tend to keep it and then grind it up into basing material, but we'll see what they seem to think about basing when it gets to that. Okay, so now we get this tool out. And this tool is for taking off all these little bits that are left on. I would probably recommend getting some sandpaper as well, or a fine file that's not as fine as this, because if you have a look at that, that's not going to go with a little tool like that. That's going to have to be sanded or filed. A little bit closer. Whoop. Don't rest your elbows on the table when you're doing that and trying to videotape, I would say. Also new to this whole videotaping thing. Videotaping, that's showing my age. This recording of videos. So I'm sort of learning that as I go as well. If you have any tips on either my modeling and painting or on my video technique, then please let me know. Please. Take all the constructive criticism you have. I'm trying to get rid of these seams as well. Since the seam goes down that pocket, down that leg. These are all left over from the casting process. So at least that's going down the actual edge of the armour. But then it goes out onto that. Down onto his boot. So what I might do, now that I've shown you this, is pause the video and go through and do the rest, so you don't have to sit here and watch the whole lot. Okay, so I'm back, and after about half an hour, I've done most of this. I'll probably touch it up with a blade later on. I don't have one at the moment, but I will move on to actually assembling, and then I'll go back and I'll do all of the other ones and I'll assemble them, but off camera so that you don't have to sit through all that. The head was pretty bad. There was a lot of mold line around the top of his head. But I would say that the hardest one to do is this backpack. You get a big chunk between those two nodules there, and that little part in between is so hard. And even using the thinnest part of this is just difficult to get in there. Okay, so let's look at him. He's the first guy here. Can you see him? Yep. Okay. So, let's see whether they've got a stopper in here. Never actually used this glue. Nope, no stopper. Okay, that's interesting. Well, this is unexciting. I would say there's glue up in there. I'm going to have to get a pair of pliers. So bear with me. I'll pause you again while I go and find something to rectify. Okay, I'm back, and with the least professional looking set of pliers. Now, that coming out is not actually broken. It's made to come out like that so that we can heat it, usually with hot water, or some people will use a flame, so that we can heat it and get the glue out of it if it dries up. There we go. Yes, that's what's happened. It's actually leaked out into the lid and glued itself in there. Okay. All I'm doing is just stripping that off my fingernails. If you don't have any fingernails, then you could probably use a blade. As I said, I don't have one ready handy at the moment. I probably should have had one, knowing that this sort of thing happens. I said when I started this project that you'd see all of the blunders. There we go. It's a big lump of... Now let's see whether that's clear. Whether we can start gluing. Okay. Let's get that in there. Okay. Let us see. Now, not sure whether this head actually needs to be glued in or whether it just sits there freely. So before you start gluing anything, I would probably say sit him together first. Just to make sure you know where everything's going, which way it's going to be facing, because once you get it glued, unlike metal things and other glues, you can sometimes pull that apart or dissolve the glue. This glue is made to melt the plastic and bond the two pieces of plastic together. Now, I don't know whether I want him free floating there. Once that's together, oh no, it holds his head. It holds his head pretty well. Alright, now it's the pulling him apart again. Let's see whether we're able to do that. Because I want to put 2 little dobs of glue down those holes. Okay. Probably haven't done the best of jobs with those mold lines. And, you know, usually I wouldn't have even spent half the time. So, any time that I have spent removing mold lines is better than what I have done in the past. So, is this glue going to work, or are we going to have to pause the video again until I can get more glue? Does not seem like we've got any glue happening there. Let's open this up and have a look. What's going on up in here? It's going through. I've got glue in there. I might have to clear the tube. In which case I'm going to have to pause the video again and go off and clear it. Yeah, I'd say it'd have to be flowing better than that. I'm going to pause the video. I'll be back in a second. Would you believe, as soon as I paused the video, it started to work. So now I have a little droplet on the end of my... If you can see that. I don't know whether you can or not. I'll have a look in post to see. Must just take a little while to get down there. Alright, so now I'll place his head in there. Hold it with my finger. Put his back on. And all I did was just put a drop in each of those little holes. Turn his head back around. And you can hear it squishing into there. And there we are. Staring off into the distance. So I'm going to hold that very tight for a few moments while the glue activates. Any luck, it won't bounce back when I let go. Oh, you can probably see the camera shaking. I'm hanging on to that pretty tight. Okay, so there he is. There's his torso. So now, let's have a look at how his arms are going to look before we go gluing him. Why does that not want to go on? There it is. And his other arm. He's sort of looking down his finger there. He's gone down a bit. Kind of like the picture. How does that look, people? Let me know in the comments what you think. Or should I go gun up in the air? I don't know. I'm mangling him. I think I'm just going to go with the picture. Just to sort of follow along, because as you'll see later, I'm not going to follow everything in this book. Alright, so let's take them off and glue them together. Let's try and take them off without busting anything. I moved it around a fair bit. One arm. Two arms. Come back and fight. I still have two legs. For all you Monty Python fans out there. There's one dob in there. I want to go down near his leg there. Like he's not even thinking about firing that gun. He doesn't need to. It's only a flesh wound. Maybe I'll just get people to comment in the comments if they can work out what some of these quotes are from. There's some in there now. And he wants to be pointing over there, about where he's looking. Oh, listen to that. You can hear the glue being squeezed out, or the air being squeezed out through the glue. Okay. He's looking good. Looking good. Now he's got a hole on his back there. Would have been nice if they put the hole on the backpack so I could have filled that while he was drying a little bit. Beggars can't be choosers though. So you don't need a massive amount of this glue. As I said, it just needs to activate to cause the chemical reaction that causes it to melt the plastics together. Oh, there's that sound. And there he is. There's our first guy. He is Sergeant Decius. Decius. Alright. So now to mount him, the way that they're saying is to put that circle at the front of him. You can sort of work it out. There is more area on this side than on that side. He needs that area because he's sort of leaning into it. Doesn't need so much area behind him. So let's just put a little bit on his feet on either side there. Like you can see, I'm not pulling it on there, it's just basically wiping it on there from the end of the, and we'll stand him up in there. And there he is, sitting on his base. Well, there's no point putting any on that. Heel was there. We'll see how that goes. He's sort of up on his balls of his feet. But there he is. There's a fair bit of detail on these, and hopefully we'll be able to pick up some of that detail with the painting. Okay. So now it's time to go and de-seam and get rid of all the flashing and everything else. Remember to put our cap back on. On the other two guys. Okay. Excellent. I'll pause you so that you don't have to go through all of that again. I'll have them all put together by the time you come back. Okay, so I've finished putting them all together. The other two were pretty much the same as doing the first one. The hardest part is probably getting that head to stay in there while you're trying to put the back on. But as you saw when I did this first one, I just held my fingers like this so that that finger could hold the head, and then you put the back in and it kind of traps that little piece in place. You can't dynamically pose the head. It seems to force itself into a location, which I guess is okay. He's looking down his finger. This guy's sort of looking in the direction of the gun, and this guy's looking over at his tricorder, for want of a better term. I'm not sure what Space Marines call that. I'm not really a Space Marines player. I tend to play Imperial Guard, or whatever it's called now, Astro Militarium or something like that. Okay, but I'll give you a little rotation of this guy. And then this fellow will rotate. I've forgotten to put his back on. How did I miss that? Let's just do that now. Get in there. Yeah, that's kind of difficult to push in, but you will feel it go all the way in. It is a feel thing, but you'll be able to see that it's sort of closer to his back, obviously, the more that goes in. Anyway, let's go for another rotation. With the backpack on, looks a bit better. Okay, so the next stage of this is for us to go and do painting. So I'll just go over the paints that they give you with this. They give you a beginner's tool, sorry, a starter brush is what they call it. McCrag blue, retribution armor, and a Baden black. Okay, and now I will put in a little video of an app that I like to use called Citadel Color, and that's just for tracking your paints and giving you a little bit of a help on painting guides and the like, and also allows you to track your projects. So I'll hand over to that tutorial, and when we come back we will do some painting. Okay, here we are in the Play Store for Google. Sorry if you have an iPhone. I really feel sorry for you, but all my demonstrations are going to be on the most popular platform. Okay, so the app that we are looking for is Citadel. I really don't know how to spell this. I probably should have looked it up, shouldn't I? Citadel Color, the app. So let's just install that. Oh, Citadel. There you go. You can tell this isn't rehearsed, can't you? Waiting. Always waiting. Okay, let's open the app. So Citadel Color is put out by Games Workshop. They probably have somebody else program it, but it's really just a painting guide and paint inventory tracker. So you get paint by color. It's not to be confused with paint by number. So you can choose what colors you would like to paint. Gives you both the classic and the contrast demos for that, or tutorials. You can do paint by model, so you can choose the sort of model. It's not really every model, it's just like if I wanted to do, say, ultramarine, it will give me the basics, unless you're actually painting these models, and then it's pretty much telling you how to paint it. yeah, you can favorite these. So you can favorite your ultramarines projects. That puts it into my projects, which I'll get to in a second. Then they have the color system. Takes you to the actual paints on the website. Basing gives you tutorials on basing, obviously. Advanced guides are interesting techniques, special effects. Yeah, different things that you can do when you get a little bit better at it. At the moment, that's well out of my ability range. But here is the inventory. So that'll show you all in your wish list. Let's just go to let's just go to all. Okay. So in the first magazine of the Conquest series, we get an Abaddon Black. We also get a Crag Blue. Where is that? Under M. Where is M? The Crag Blue. Obviously, it's not the air paint. They're just giving you the base paint. The base paint. And we also have Retributor armor. Okay, so now when you go into inventory, you can see the paints that you have on hand. Wish list is for paints that you don't have but you would like. So for what I would like to do, because I'm not a fan of the color scheme of the Ultramarines, I'm going to go down here. And although I'll be using all the same techniques, I'll just be using different colors. Where are we looking for? How about we search? We'll search for DAR. Okay. Ooh, Deathwing, Ravenwing. Dark Angels. Now, why didn't that come up when I searched for it? Now, I'm going to add that to my projects. Now, I should be able to go to my projects. And it should be there, but it's not. It didn't even let me do that. Refine Imperium. That'll make finding this easier. I'm sorry this is taking so long, but as I said, you'll see all of my mistakes. I'm not hiding anything. It's just not going to add it. Okay, so what I will do though is I'm going to add to my wish list a Xandri Dust, Mephiston Red, Rhinox Hide, Lead Belcher, Caliban Green, a couple of shades, actually I'll leave the shades off. We won't get to that today in this tutorial, obviously, because they've only given us base colors. We'll only be doing bases, but I've selected the bases that I would need for a Dark Angels Intercessor, and we will go ahead with that. So I can show you how that looks in the actual inventory lists. So in the inventory, it shows me my 3 paints, and in the wish list, it shows me all the paints that I've decided that I'm going to actually be painting on my intercessors. As I said, I will use all the same techniques. There will just be the different colors. Okay, we can compare them. I can show you what I'm using instead of other things that I would have used had I followed the color guide for the magazine series. Not a fan of blue. That's all it is. Okay, welcome back from the little guide on the app, where I dropped a bombshell about not painting these in these colours. I will be, I just won't be using the Crag Blue. Instead, I have myself some Caliban green, which will be the base of my Dark Angels. Okay, so everywhere that they said to do blue, I will be doing green. So let's bring in a few technical pieces like some water. Just water in a glass. Tip that I picked up earlier on in the piece is that if you're doing both flat colors and metallics, have 2 glasses of water and use only 1 glass of water for the metallics, because you don't want any of those flecks in your flat colors. Okay, so I'll probably just do the Retribution armor last, because it really doesn't matter if there's a little bit of flat color in the metallics. Now, for my palette, I'm using a plate, an old plate. Well, it's not an old plate. I bought this one specifically for painting because I didn't have one at the time. But you can use any old plate, or even a tile, a flat tile. I've used a tile for many years. It's much easier to scrape off excess paints that you don't want on there anymore because it will dry onto it. But with a gloss on it, it's easy to get it off. I might dig out my wet palette and have a bit of a play with that in future videos, but at the moment I'm just sort of going with what I know. Okay, let's get this all wet. Now in the past I've actually painted black on everything, but not so here. Apparently you just go with the base color. So let's try that. Shake the pot, remembering not to touch the table so the camera doesn't shake everywhere. Okay, now this hasn't been opened before, so I'm just forcing it past that point. Could probably run a knife around it. Okay, there we are. There's a nice little receptacle there for paints. Okay, let's grab this first guy and see how we go. How's that going on? That's going on just nice. Making sure that the paint isn't welling in any of those recesses, because you don't want to lose that level of detail. But you can go ahead and paint the entire model, because we'll paint over the parts we want different colors. If you load up the brush too much, that's okay. Just wipe it off onto a bit of paper or a paper towel or something. See whether I can get through this without messing it up. If I do, like I said, we'll work on that. We'll try and work it all out. You want to get it in everywhere. Make sure the color is everywhere. After you've put on this coat, you can go through and check to see whether you can see that blue showing through. If you can, then you probably want to hit it with another coat. We'll have a look once it's dried and have a look to see what it's turned out like. We'll make a decision then. Right up in the recesses, everywhere you can see blue. Well, I can't imagine trying to paint this a crag, because everywhere you see blue you want to paint blue. With mine, everywhere I see blue I want to paint green. So I will discover how hard that's going to be when I try and do the next issue, which is the Death Guard, because they're pretty much coloured the same colour as the paint, which is going to be interesting for painting them. Okay, he's coming along. Now they say about half an hour for each coat to dry. I think I'm shaking the camera again. So what I might do is, after I run over this guy with the green, I'll probably just pause this and go and do the rest of them. By then he should be dried, and we should be able to have a look at least him while the others are drying, see how he's turned out. Yeah, sometimes you want to just poke with the end of the brush to put it right up in the crevices. You don't want it to well in there, but you want it to at least have the colour. Because on a green model, the last thing you want to do is see blue crevices. These guys coming up nicely green. Now, another thing that you're meant to get as part of this subscription is a model vise, like a hand grip that clamps the bottom of the base and allows you to hang on to the model without actually having to hang on to the actual model itself. But as the delivery is pretty bad, I'm still on back order for that, over a year into the subscription. So, needless to say, just doing it with my fingers. Which is how I've done it in the past when I've tried to paint. Get in between the backpack and his body, under his arms, on the other side of the gun. So many fiddly little places to get. You don't want to miss any of them. I guess it would be more forgiving if you missed a spot when using the blue paints. If there's a way to make something harder, I will find it. Now that just went on really thick, but I'll thin that down by unloading the paintbrush in different areas of the model and then just coming back and brushing over it again just to take that extra thick layer off. A few tinges of blue sticking through. But like I said, if you go with the original paint, it'll be far more forgiving than this. You just won't see the blue coming through, because it'll be all blue. But where it's not been thick enough to cover the blue, I'll just go back over it. I may even do that on camera. We'll see how we go for time. This video is getting quite big. I don't know what people expect. I reckon I'm going to be pretty close to an hour by the time this video is finished. Hope you stick with me for the entire time, or pause the video and come back later. Quite happy for you to do that. In fact, I probably wouldn't even know. Blue hand. Blue on his gun. Blue under his arms, his back, his hips. There's blue everywhere, which is strange because, like, it's not like he was blue to begin with. Okay, I think he's done. I'll just give him a little rotate. Rotate on the camera, and hit me up in the comments if you see any blue. I'll pause the video there and paint the other ones. Okay, alright, so we're back. I've painted the other two. I can still see blue on it. I'm probably going to go through with another coat on them. If you can see any blue, oh, there's a lot of blue up in there if you have a look. Yeah, the brush right up in there. Yeah, if you can see any other blue that I'm not pointing out, please let me know in the comments so I can touch that up before the next part of this. It won't affect so much the next part, or the next color that we'll be doing in this video, which will be the black. And it may even cover up some of the things that I've missed, because where the black goes on may be parts that I've missed with the blue. Okay, but at this point, you can keep touching them up. We've not added any shades or anything, and it doesn't look like we're adding any shades at any time soon. I've not been given any on any of these few magazines, so probably in the next couple of episodes, or a couple of issues, as it's an issue per episode. Definitely not in the next issue. So no shades for a little bit. So just keep touching them up, covering up what you don't like. If you're happy with them, I mean, at arm's length, they are pretty good. I'm pretty happy with them at arm's length. So if they were sitting on a table, nobody would really question it. And I mean, the green's looking good. I'm quite happy with the green. I wasn't going to be very happy with the blue. Blue's just not my thing. I guess growing up with little plastic army men, I like the green. Yeah, blue seems to stand out too much. It just doesn't seem like something that you would have on a battlefield. Although the Dark Angels have red guns. So, but I'm going to try and tone that down a little bit in the next part of this. The next paint that we're going to be using once these guys have dried is going to be black, and it's black all over the gun. So hopefully the black on the gun, when I then paint the red over it, will tone down the red a bit. I'm going to try and paint that a little bit lighter, just so that it's a dirty sort of dark red as opposed to a bright shoot at me sort of a red. And yeah, once these guys are finished and I'm happy that I've touched them up enough, I will get into the black and we can have a look at how difficult that's going to be. So bear with me. I will pause this while we wait for them to dry. And welcome back. So I've run over these models as many times as I possibly can looking for blue. I've had to repaint a few pieces, but I guess at some point you basically have to say enough is enough and move on. Otherwise you'll be here forever trying to get just the minute pieces of blue out. As I said before, if you go with the McCraig blue, it'll probably be more forgiving, but you're still going to want a full coverage because I think the shade will soak into the paint better than it'll soak into the plastic to give it a shade. I could be wrong about how shades work, and please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But now let's have a look at black. So in the black, we're going to be painting the gun, the parts between the armor, the commander's hair, for reasons unknown, but I'm sure will become more clear in the future as we go on, and anything on their webbing, so pistol holsters, clip holders, even drink bottles if they've got a drink bottle. I don't think they do, but hand grenades, they'll get painted black as well. And we're almost finished once we've got that done. So let's go over the commander and then I'll paint the other ones off camera to speed up your viewing, because I realize that this is probably going to go over an hour, this video, if it hasn't already. So paintbrushes at the ready. Okay. Shake your paint. Open it up. You might notice that I've still got my plate there, just in case I need to unload the brush. You'll probably notice that I've unloaded the brush a bit with the previous color while I've been painting it. But we are going to open a Baden black for this black. Now that came with the magazine. If you've had a look at the other part of the video, that explains what paints came with it. Let's start with his hair. Don't be too worried if you go over the edges. You can always come back and touch up with the green. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult going over top of black. But that looks alright. He now has black hair. Cool. On to his gun. We've gone from blue to green, now to black. Don't want to put it on too thick because we don't want to get too much of that detail going away. At the end of the day, it's going to change its color again, so let's just try and get it as black as possible. I don't think I need to fully black it out. If I miss little bits here and there, it won't be the end of the world. But later on, when we come to recoloring the gun, which isn't included in this issue, we can always hit it with a bit more black. There's no issues with that. There's a little bit of the handle sticking out of his hand. light's not very good today. I've added another light, but it seems to be getting in my eyes now, which is not really helping me. As you're probably aware, this isn't all done on the same day, and I've had better light on other days. So let's twist that around. Have a look in there. Plenty of green. We can cover up with some black. I really think he's starting to come together a bit more now that we're adding extra colours. I haven't really come across too many issues, apart from that whole coverage issue that I had before. Nothing that I can give you any tips on getting out of. It just came down to paint it, wait for it to dry, because once you paint it, it looks brilliant. And once it dries, you can see the blue coming through. You really have to have a steady hand around all of this other stuff. As I said, if you do touch the other things, just touch it up. You're better off touching it up before we get to the part where the shading happens, from what I believe, because that's going to be harder to touch things up once it's been shaded. Well, that's not too bad for a beginner, I'd reckon. Let's get to his belt-mounted holster. Just tear myself off a bit of paper towel. Now, I've been told that we're wetting our brush mainly to get it into that nice point. Seems to be working for me so far. Now you can use the paper towel to unload your brush as well. I seem to like using the plate or the palette. Just gone onto a whole bunch of green that I shouldn't have, but after this dries I'll show you how to fix that up. Hopefully we can fix it up. I'm pretty sure we can. At the bottom of that hand grenade as well. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Yep. Just have to keep checking it sometimes. Sometimes I might bring it a little bit too close to myself, and in that case you won't be able to see it on the video. Very wary of that. Mindful even. Getting behind there. I don't know how many people are going to really get up too close to these, but I would like that if they did, they could see that I put a bit of effort into it. I even went and tried to hide all of the things that weren't so noticeable from afar. Okay. So there's our commander. Oh no, we need to do the between the armor bits as well. Almost forgot that. I'm not going to pretend that I am a professional at this. And I'm not saying that people on YouTube are pretending. They are professionals at this. I just wanted to be able to provide a place where you could see somebody who wasn't a professional doing it. So that it wasn't perfect every time. And I hope that's what I can provide for people. Some people look at a video and they get it right first time. Not a problem. I'm not like that. You'll notice that I will make mistakes. I will forget things. The video will stop. The video will start again while I'm sorting things out, or I've noticed something off camera that I need to come back on and tell you that I've done wrong or how to fix it. These are the things that you can expect from these sort of videos. I'm not going to be an awesome painter straight off. And good on those people who are awesome painters straight off. I'm really happy that that's how it worked out for you. Everything that I've done, I've had to work really hard to get good at. And this will be no exception. Oh no, that's not loaded too much. I'm going to have to come back and touch this up with a bit of green around it. It's going everywhere with this black. I might have a little bit more video of touch-ups. There we go. I'm not sure whether I should do these straps. Yeah, I might just go back over that with green. We'll leave the straps green. But that's him. You can see the parts between his thing. Is there anywhere on his arm that needs a little bit in between? Maybe just down in that crease in there. Just going to require some more touch up around the green bits. But at least that's done. It will look nice in the end. And that's just how you do it, I think. I'm not saying that that is how you do it, but according to what they say in the magazine, these come up roses. So again, I will pause you so that you don't have to go through all this again on another model. If I run into any problems, I will let you know, and we'll see what I've done and how we can fix it. But for now, let's just pause, and I'll paint these other ones and we can have a look at the outcome. So I've gone through each of them, added all the black in. I've noticed that in the diagram that the belt is also included in that black. I assume they're going to make that another color. They're just blacking it out, same as this fellow's hair. Although I have noticed that in the pictures that this little cylinder here is also black, but that is not. Just his belt, and there is little bits just up underneath his carapace there. I think that's what it's called, carapace. And just in behind his back there. I think all of that is black as well, which will make for less touching up later. I'll make it part of his belt anyway, covering up that metal plate. I am probably going to have to go back. You can probably see where there's black on the armor plates. I'll have to go back over it with a little bit of green. I'm pretty sure I don't need to show you that. I think you understand that if you go over the green, then just go back over whatever you've gone over the green with, and vice versa. So it might be a little bit of back and forth depending on your level of expertise and steady hands. Mine aren't very steady, especially on video. I'm a little bit nervous. But yeah, I think they've come out all right. It's just added that little bit of extra depth to them, so they're not all green now. The guns being out like this, much easier than the gun across his chest, as you can imagine. I've also sort of tried to get right up into his fingers there so that it's not part green, part black. It's like black all the way through the item that's in his hand, but his hands are still green. And if they're not still green, I will make them green again. So yeah, now we just let them dry and we'll be on to the next color. I'll show you the next color, but I won't be painting it. Okay, I'm going to do something a little bit different. As I said, I'm not painting it exactly the same way, but I will be using their techniques. Okay, just like I've not spray based these models. They never said to use a spray base. I've painted straight over the plastic with a base color. Okay, so I'll just let them dry and I'll speak to you soon. And I'm back. I believe that's all dried now. Still looks a little bit glossy, but we're not going to have to touch up the guns. So at this point, they're asking to put this Retributor armor around the edges of the shoulder parts and on the Aquila symbol. This is where I'm going to deviate again, and I'm going with Xandri dust on the Aquila symbol and just leaving the shoulder pads alone for now. So this part of the exercise is going to be very quick. You can see that the shoulder pads is just that raised bit around the shoulder pad. Again, if you have any troubles with it and you get it on the shoulder pad, just go back over it with the color, with your primary color, and it'll disappear. Okay, so I'm going to show you painting the Aquila symbol. I will be coming back to do this with the Retributor armor on my guns, but after I paint them a different color. I don't know, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Dark Angels, they have a reddish colored gun, which is kind of counterintuitive for anybody trying to hide. I'm going to try and mute mine down a little bit, make it a bit of a darker red. We'll see how that goes. But I will go for that gold, a little bit of gold over the top. But at this point, I won't be doing it because of the fact that I'm probably going to have to touch it up anyway if I do it. So I'll just leave them black for now, and we'll get into the Aquila symbol on the front. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, the Aquila symbol. So wet the brush, shake the paint, and let's pop that open. Okay, that is the sound of a fresh pot of paint. So there's like a little seal part there that gets broken when you open it. Just for those who aren't sure how to tell whether the pot has been opened before. Wow, it's a bit chunky. We're going to have a longer shake and play around a little bit. Okay, let's go for one that's way out in the open. So just want it on that. Probably still got too much on there. Yeah, so I'm going to have to come back. I'm going to have to get some green in around the top there. I've bled over again. Oh, it's all over the shop. Yeah, I'll be coming back to touch this one up a lot, I reckon. And that's the one that's out in the open. Let's see how that one dries. Come back to that one. Here's another one that's out in the open. Let's see whether we can do a better job. It's the one with the gun across his chest that's going to be the hardest. Now, I would have stopped the video and just shown you the finished product, but as I've mucked up so much on that first one, just want to have another go again on video. See whether I can do a better job the next time around. There we go. I think that's much better than the first time that I did it. Unfortunately, you have to mess up a few times, I would say, to get really good at this. And over this journey, I'm sure I will have plenty of opportunity to mess up and to have another go at it. Just coming in from the top at the moment, just trying to go easy on it. If I'm going to overflow, I want to overflow on an area that's going to be easy to get to. I don't think there's any that you can get from below. So let's just keep going from the top here. Just the bits you can see, I would think. Oh, look at that, straight across the armor. I'll definitely have to touch that up. And there we go. Now, I'll let those dry. Now, where's the one that I did first? There's the one that I did first. It's drying nicely. You can still see a little bit of the green coming through. I'm not sure whether that's ideal or not. Oh, I was just trying to get some of that well out, and I've just done more. Let's just leave that alone until it dries, and I'll go over the top of it with some green. And I'll show you how that comes out. Okay. So that's probably going to be another 30 minutes to let that dry. Let's just pause for now. Okay, now that that's dried, let's have a look at tidying these up a little bit. Probably not going to need very much on your brush at all. Right, that covers up pretty well. It'll just be little bit by little bit, just getting closer to it. Trying not to recover the bone, otherwise we'll be back and forwards and back and forwards. Start far enough away and then just edge myself ever so slowly towards it. I hope your hands are much better than mine. Mine are just so shaky. Start further away. When I'm comfortable with the movement, I just edge closer to it. That's looking much better. Just edging closer to it. So I think that's come up okay. Let's have a look at the one that was on the armor pad. This way you'll be able to see so much easier how easy it is to just cover that up. I probably don't have enough paint on my brush. Cover that up. So I'm trying to show you how easy it is, and obviously not doing it the right way. So it should just be able to go like that, and it's gone. And it's that easy. Smooth that out a bit. Now there was a little bit on the gun. Obviously not going to hit it with green. I'll have to come back with some black. Just set him aside. He came up pretty good. He was probably my best one. breath. It's very nerve-wracking. There we go. I think they've come up pretty good. And that is the end of Conquest 1. Hold him up there. Give you a little bit of a closer look as I rotate him around. Give a comment if you see a part that I've missed. I'll go back and have a look at it and see whether I can fix it up. But in between time, I will be checking them over, try and get them right. I'll let you know if I do anything different. Obviously, I still haven't finished touching up his gun, but I'm going to have to do that with black. I'll do that off camera. I think we've shown enough how you can fix those little blemishes. You just got to take your time. Go back when it's dry and just cover it up. It's not the end of the world if you paint over something. I will probably see how hard it is to cover up a blemish when it comes after time to shade. But at the moment, they're not showing us time to shade. That is the end of this this issue. And next issue, we will start on some Death Guard. Some chaos. Mono God chaos. Excellent. I'll probably talk more about that when that issue is being recorded. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please put a like on, comment with anything, preferably constructive. Subscribe if you really are starting to enjoy this, or if you hold off for another one, then keep coming back to check. Like it if you like it, thumbs it down if you don't. I'd rather you didn't, but the option's there. And I'll see you next time. Keep painting.